Well, thank you, Cherry, a lot for this. I don't know where should I stand because I don't want to block everyone. So yes, my name is Twig Tai. I've seen some familiar faces here, and I would just say, first and foremost, I'd like to thank you, Cherry, for organizing this. Thank you, Dr. Laura. Thank you, Dr. Laura. It's right there for sponsoring this event, as well as all my mentors sitting in the last rows right there, my family, my CityU family, including Dr. Kathy Cox, of course, because clearly I would not be here today without him, and I mean it. Yeah. And I will reiterate this a little bit later on how important it is to find a mentor while you're still in school, because I assume a lot of you guys here are international students, just like me. And I am still an international student. So I hope that what I bring in today will be a lot more relevant to you guys regarding the experience of being an international student in the US, studying and working, and finally find a job after you graduate, because that's what we're all here for. Now, I would like to just quickly go around the room, and each of you can tell me one thing that you want to get out of this event. Okay, so it's going to be quick. You can tell me your name, one thing you want to get out of this event. It doesn't have to be something, you know, really in depth, but like, so let's start from here. If you can tell me your name and one thing that you would like to get out of this event besides pizza. Okay, so we have a common theme here, and I'm glad that everyone on the same page. No one got here just because of pizza, or like a wrong idea. So without no further ado, I'm gonna dive right in quickly about me, my background. I got my bachelor degrees in California, and I was dual major in business administration and computer information system. So I would still consider myself a non-tech person, but I do have background and knowledge of SQL and database. And then I moved to Seattle for my OPT, my first OPT, and I work at Zuili, which is an online retailer, some of you may or may not know, for close to a year as a vendor specialist. And then I joined CityU, and the whole like amazing journey really actually started there. So I joined CityU. I enrolled in CityU as in the Master of Science Project Management program. Too bad Lynn isn't here, but if she would watch this later, I would like to thank Lynn a lot too. She owns the program, and she's done an amazing job as a program director for this program. And matter of fact, Jim, one of my professors, is sitting right there, part of the program for 2-year programs. And in the meantime, I was working for the School of Management again as a student assistant. And right after graduation, about a month, I got a job offer from Amazon, and here I am today. So it's been almost 3 months, or actually 3 months now, since I started working in Amazon. So that's just about me. Background in general, I also recently got a PMP certification, as well as the Scrum Master and Lean Six Sigma certification. And we can talk more about that later. But again, just a high level of what I'm passionate in and my interest in. Now, we talk about, oh, I have my notes here with me. Right, my journey to Amazon. I would say, to answer a lot of you guys' questions, I started polishing my resume and talking to, or start networking about 3 months before my graduation date. It was not as intense as it should be, or I did not have a lot of time, but the Career Center at CityU was extremely helpful. So since I was working here, I try to make an appointment and just stop by to get tips and as well as like resume polishing from Desiree. So that was one. And I apply considerable amount of job, but I do learn one thing that, and I get it, we just graduate and we just want a job for a lot of the time. We don't need a lot of requirements, but just know that employers need you as much as you need them. So when you do apply, make sure that you actually are interested in that job. And I know a lot of people say, oh, quantity is over quality when it comes to sending out resume. You send out 200 resume or apply 200 jobs a day and hoping that one of them will pick it up, which is not a bad thing. But in my experience, I did not do that because I have very specific target. And my target was account management and project management. So those are my target, or anything related to data analysis. So that's how I narrowed down my job researching. And for Amazon, it's I would say it's fate because I never really pay attention to my LinkedIn because I thought that it's like Facebook, but like nobody uses it. But Desiree pushed me to do so. And again, Dr. Sam isn't here, but if any of you guys know from an IT club, Dr. Sam is very good at pushing students to go out there and pursue and be successful. So together, Dr. Sam and Desiree, they all kind of helped me set up my own website as well as to set up the LinkedIn profile. And now one day, I got an email from an Amazon recruiter asking me to apply for this job, account manager. And there's a link that expires in 24 hours that I have to click on and take an online test. And I would say that test for 48 hours. Within 48 hours, I have to do that. And I thought it would be some sort of logical reasoning. So for those of you who've never taken it or seen it before, basically almost like you have like the shape here, and then they would ask you what color comes after this, right? And then they would have like all different choices, and there's gonna be 50 questions like that, and it will time you. So for 48 hours, I don't think I really sleep because I was so stressed about it. And so I would just go online and search for as many as sample of logical. And there's like 10 different those logical tests that you can look for. Don't pay for any of them, okay? Just go for the free one. Be frugal about this. So I did a lot of that. Still did not feel prepared, but I had to take the test anyway, and I did. Turns out, none of these questions was on the test. So I studied the wrong thing. But instead, it was mostly about real-world scenario. That test lasted for, I think, they did not time you, which is good. So I took like almost 3 hours to do that. And then a few days later, got an email, got a first phone interview, because I passed that test. Phone interview. Now, during this period of time, I have talked and reached out to a lot of people, students, friends that I know who have experience with interviewing with Amazon, or even know somebody who work at Amazon to ask, just like you guys sitting here right now, you know, asking for tips. And the one thing consistently that I get is always be over-prepared, because Amazon is known as one of the hardest employers to get in, especially for non-tech position. And so even though I know phone interview is going to be shorter and it's not going to go into like deep level, but I prepped it as if it's a in-person interview. Lucky for me, they let me choose the day, so I chose as far as possible. So I chose 2 weeks later. So I have a whole 14 days to prep. And I guess I can show you guys a little bit better, but basically, a lot of the questions that I got sample are from the internet. And trust me, you'll be amazed when you Google Amazon interview questions. They're going to be like thousands of results. YouTube channel, but again, never pay, okay? All the free resources are there. So what I ask of you is, again, use your resources around you. Ask your professor, ask your career advisor. A lot of your classmates may know someone who works for Amazon, and they may already have this set of questions that they can share with you. They're very, nothing surprising, nothing tricky, nothing like how many floors in the tallest building in Manhattan, nothing like that, nothing brand teaser. So it's just really down to, do you know this or do you not? So when you apply for it, clearly for any employer, not just Amazon, you study the job posting, you study Amazon, right? Now this tricky part, Amazon is too big. So it's global. How can you study Amazon? Well, I'll tell you, 14 leadership principle, you have to memorize that by heart. I have that printed and have it on my desk, so I can always refer to it, because that's the way that we communicate in Amazon. People will say things like, oh, thanks for diving deep and for your ownership. So that's 2 leadership principle right there. And that's how we talk. So do all of that. I think average, I have prep, and by prep I mean have the question and kind of note down bullet points of what I would say to reply to that question. I think I prep around 100 questions. It is about 50 pages long. Well, don't panic when you hear that, because it takes 14 days for me to do that. And I go back and forth a lot, right? And a lot of them, I already got them from previous interviews a while ago. But now, what I can tell you is for the answer, you have to really format yourself to say in the STAR format. How many of you have heard of that? The STAR format. So situation, task, action, and result. For me, I'll usually do SAR, S-A-R, so situation, action, and result. Because task and situation sometimes kind of mix together. So again, when you do the bullet points for each of the question, interview question, make sure you have 3 bullet points, 3 big bullet points. All the details you can have in your head, right? But if you don't have an action and a result in your reply, your answer to the interviewer, that's pretty much a negative point, because they care about what did you do and what happened, what was the result of it. And also, if you can include any number, do so. Well, don't make it too dramatic and like unrealistic, because these are really smart people. And when they call you out, when they ask you, all right, you say you helped sales increase by 20% last year. Can you tell me, how do you track those metrics? When did you get the metric from? And how long that was metric for? Was it a year? Was it year over year? Was it month over month? And if you made that up, you wouldn't be able to answer the follow-up question. So with all that in mind, again, sell yourself. Of course, as students, a lot of us don't have a lot of work experience. A lot of us don't have that numbers in our resume. But that's when creativity comes from, and that's when volunteer works, like joining Enactus, comes to, right? And I will say to you that when I do my interview prep, I would say 50% of my answers are from Enactus, because I was the president of Enactus, and I actually dealt with real number and real money, real companies. So being able to use that was really helpful. Now, so interview in person, past the phone interview, you are going to be invited in person. Now keep in mind, if you are invited to the in-person interviews, you should make it. This is your chance. So again, review all your notes, talk to as many, practice as much as possible, right? Have a friend, coworker, anyone to mock interview you. Make you as uncomfortable as possible. Ask you questions that you did not prepare. That's what Aline did to me, and I really appreciate that. We would ask questions, again, be relentless to you, because that's how I would say there's a bar raiser. I'm sure a lot of you have already heard of this. For me, I can only speak for myself, there were 5 rounds of interviews in person. And one of those people is the bar raiser. What it means is they are not even in the team that I'm working with. So let's say my team is account management team, right? We do all about vendors and retail. The bar raiser is going to be someone who have very little knowledge about this. They could be like a program manager from Whole Foods. They could be someone as a software developer. But they come in, they don't judge you on, let's see me, they don't judge me on my account management skill. They judge me if I'm a good fit for Amazon as a whole. I thought it was impossible to do, but I don't think it is anymore. And I'm here to tell you that it is possible if you actually prepare and have self-discipline and go through with it, you know. So before interview, also using Excel sheet, when I talk about leadership principle, I actually map all my answer to leadership principle. There should not be any answer to interview question that does not associate with one leadership principle. So that's another thing. During the interview, clearly dress professionally, but of course comfortable because you're going to be there for like 7 hours on that day. During the interview, if you don't know something, be honest and tell them that I have not done this before. And I can only assume that if you get to the in-person interview already, that means they already think highly of you. And that means that position is somehow already fit you as a newly graduate student. It's not going to be a senior position where you don't know certain thing and it makes you look bad, right? They know that you guys don't have tons of experience. They know that, right? So something you don't know, it's like, well, I never done that before. However, if I was in that situation, this is what I would do, right? And don't just end by saying, oh, I don't know, never done it before, and that end like that. Or you can also even say, can I come back to that question later? I kind of want to think about it a little more. Can you ask the next question and come back to that one later? Okay, so that's another way. Always be confident. I remember when on my day of interview, I was sitting next to 2 other candidates. And I gotta tell you, that does not feel good. Because I see them in person now, and I see that out of 3 of us, 2 is gonna go. Only 1 stay. And they are both local people. And clearly, they speak English very well. And that is something I'm not confident of, because I was not born here, and my English clearly is imperfect. So I got intimidated, clearly, but I felt like once you actually get in the interview room with your interviewer, all you care about is you and that person. You don't care about the other 2 people anymore. How well they do, how well they can speak English, how much experience they have, it's irrelevant at that point, right? And so keep that in mind too. What we do with the time. So for a new hire at Amazon, what I meant by that is, like, to answer a lot of you guys' question, what really happened? Oh, I think I skip after Amazon interview. Well, definitely send out thank you note. And you are allowed to bring note inside the interview room and take note. So what I did is I take note of each person, each interviewer name, position, and what they do. Because they're going to introduce themselves, right? Take note of all of that, asking some question. Because in the end of every interview, they're going to ask you, do you have any question for me? Never say no. Never. So part of prepping the interview is prepping the questions for the interviewer. Because if you come in and tell them that you have 0 question, that shows you have no interest. But yeah, besides asking question, here's some question that I would not recommend asking. For example, when am I going to hear back? Or do you know how much money I'm going to make from this position? What are the perks? I would say, at least from my experience, probably not the best time to ask those questions. Rather, ask about the job. Ask about the challenges of someone in this role. Ask about, the culture. Ask about what they like about the job, what they don't like about their job, right? Something positive. something they could do differently. Ask them their favorite leadership principle. And each of them will have at least one or two for you. Now, all that information, when you ask and they answer, you write it down, right? Now, when you write the thank you note, you would want to use those notes. And make sure you write a thank you note on the same day, because your memory is still fresh. They still remember you. So what I did, I wrote 5 different thank you notes for 5 people. Some people use generic one, but I want to customize my thank you note. So I wrote 5 emails. And on each of them, again, I use the note. I would say, for example, hi, Mrs. So-and-so. Thank you for having me here today. It was really fascinating to me to learn about your gift card team who's, merging with so-and-so and doing so well and so-and-so. I could not wait to participate or being a part of your team to help you with so-and-so, right? Again, that shows that you pay attention and that shows that you're very interested. So that's after the interview. Now, assuming that you got a call back, and by the way, if you already gone through all of this and you haven't heard back from your recruiter, don't be afraid to give them a nudge. Give them a call, email them 2-3 times. That's okay. Just ask for a status because they are incredibly busy. And sometimes they don't get to you very on time. So that's what I did. I asked them, what is the status of my case? And I got a call at like 8 p.m., which I don't know why that person worked that late. But I got a call from a recruiter telling me that I got a job. And start day and everything logistically. And I officially start on November. Now, after I got hired at Amazon, I would say my first impression is that I was overwhelmed. Definitely was happy and excited, but also very overwhelmed. It's just so big. It's like a whole nation by itself. Because Amazon has so many teams, so many departments, so many projects that, to be honest, all I know before I joined Amazon was Amazon Retail, where you shop Prime Now, Whole Food, AWS, and Prime TV, right? But there's so much more than that. And when you join, the first 3 months is going to be extremely overwhelming, but everyone understands and everyone is there for you. The culture is it's really work hard, play hard. And I would say, definitely, again, use your resources. Your coworkers are there for you, and clearly, I feel like I don't need to talk a lot more about this, because once you actually join Amazon, you will understand and you will see where to get help and everything. So I would probably move to Q&A, because when you guys ask questions, that's better for me to explain or answer. Sounds good? Let's move to Q&A. Yes?
Michael, thank you for being here today.
Oh, thanks.
Congratulations. I have a quick question. So did you get a referral from Amazon?
Nope. I got an email from a recruiter.
Yeah, before that, even though...
No, I never. Well, I asked some friends to refer me, but somehow the process was it takes a while, and the Amazon recruiter actually reached out to me before the referral come through.
Nice.
So I got referred, but it wasn't a job that I'm at right now. Yeah. Yes.
Did the recruiter say to you, like, how did he reach out to you, on which platform, or like?
They never said, but I believe it's LinkedIn, because I updated my LinkedIn profile, and I also built my own website included in LinkedIn. Maybe I can show you guys this real quick. But I believe the recruiter found me via that. So again, do not underestimate the power of social media, because that's what I did. Next question? Yeah.
So when you got interviewed, were all your, I guess, competitors listening to your answers?
Mm-mm. So it's one-on-one. It's one-on-one. But when you come to the lobby, they're all seated there. So you guys see each other. And they rotate on you. So let's say, excuse me, so three candidates going to be like 3 different rooms. And the interview is going to move around you. But you don't hear what each other say, though, which is good. God, that same picture. Apparently, I only have one professional picture. So it took me a while to make this, obviously from a template. And I don't think I updated Amazon up there yet. Nope, I did not. But see, do not do that. Make sure you update your job history and everything, because you never know who's looking at your profile and portfolio. Here, I can show. So this is home. And then I listed all my projects, which again, depends on your industry. You know, could be like IT project or non-tech, something. All of these are my volunteer project with Enactus. I include the pictures explaining what it is. Common practice always have objectives and outcomes, because again, that's what people care. I have my award and certification section here. Coming October, I actually passed it on October, but I have not updated. And these are awards, scholarship, sample work is for my project management plan, actually from CityU classes. These are, if I click on it, it's going to download my sample work. And, oh God, this is going to be embarrassing. But I have a few people vouch for me. Arlene sitting right there, and Dr. Payam. Again, my family at CityU has been really grateful. I don't know how many people or my potential employer have looked at this. But again, this is what I have on LinkedIn when I got an email from the Amazon recruiter. So who knows? Maybe she did look at it. Maybe she did not. But it doesn't hurt to put yourself out there, right? Any other question? I know someone asked about OPT and CPT, and I know I didn't address that, but I want to save that for Q&A. Basically, I applied for OPT the moment that I am eligible to apply for, which is about July, because I graduate on September, end of September, and I applied around mid-July. I got confirmation and everything, and for those of you who never applied for OPT, you will get a notice saying that they received your case, and there's a tracking number where you can go online and track. And one day I tracked the number, and it said that it's been delivered. The car has been delivered to my house, but I never gotten it. And so I found out that the US Post Office lost my mail. Yeah, and that's the part that I didn't say, I didn't tell, because some local student wouldn't understand this, but this is strictly related to immigration and work permit for international students. Without a work permit, without an EAD, I could not accept the job offer from Amazon, so that's what happened. So no, it was not just all roses. I did not think that I would be working in Amazon because so here's the timeline. I lost my work permit around October. Or I realized I actually lost it now. And I called them and they said, well, all you can do is to reapply and wait for another 3 months and repay the fee. So basically, it's my fault, even though the mail got lost. And then I got the job offer probably 1 week after that. So beginning of October, got a job offer. They told me to start the very next week. And I told them, I don't have a work permit. Now what? And that's why it got delayed all the way to November, where I asked around. Everyone told me that without a physical work permit, you cannot start working. And I was so sure. And I was telling everyone that, hey, I got a job offer from Amazon, but I'm not going to be working for them. Because I was so sure they're going to take it back. Or maybe say, oh, well, you can work whenever that work permit comes, which is another 3 months. which potentially could be January or February. But somehow, and this is another lesson, guys, ask for advice, ask for tips, but just don't give up, right? Because I was really sure. I asked so many people who already work at Amazon, at international student, and they say that from what they know, Amazon did not let them work, right? So I don't know what different about my case, or somehow it was just me being lucky. But after a month back and forth, the recruiter got back to me, invited me on site, let me go through a whole new hire orientation. And there's like, well, we'll let you work and we'll wait for your replacement. So that's what's happened. So everything has been going so far. Sponsorship-wise, I'm sure a lot of you will be interested in this. Amazon, it really depends on your team. It really depends on your team. So I cannot, so please don't hold me for it if you apply for a job, got on a team, and it doesn't happen the same way. It depends on your manager and your team. But from my experience, my manager was very understanding and just have to earn his trust. So I joined first week of November, and then I was able to convince him to sign a sponsorship paper for me around December, end of December, right before Christmas. So I think that was like a miracle for me because I did not expect that because I was not in tech position. But again, it's a lottery system, so we don't know yet. But I would say, again, do not have all these, I would say, what you call facts or stereotypes apply so heavy on you that you behave and you take actions that way. Because I was so sure. I was telling everyone, oh, there's no way I'm going to get a job. There's no way I'm going to get sponsorship. There's no way. There's so many no ways that I promised, that I said to everyone. But then somehow it just turns out okay. So you just need to believe and not give up. Any other question? Yes, Jim.
Congratulations. You had some nice certifications, Scrum Master and PMP. Do you think that they helped at all either in the process or even now for you in your position?
I would say I'm not sure if it helped me during the process of recruiting, but I know it's helping me right now. One thing that it helps me in a way is, even though my position is not a program or a project manager, I don't do strictly project. I take care a lot of operations and operational work as well as data analytics, but I can initiate my own projects. And without this certification, I feel like I wouldn't have the credit to talk to my manager and be like, hey, I think I want to do so and so. But my manager knew that I have all this certification, and he called it out too. He said, you are the only person in this team that have a PMP and a Scrum Master, so you lead this. So it felt great. Yeah. Let's see if I missed anything. Well, before I forget, I've written down or note down the 3 key takeaways for today because I talk so much, and I hope that at least if you guys walk out this room, you remember 3 things. So first is be determined and self-disciplined. Very important. People say it all the time, but how many of you would actually dedicate 4 to 5 hours every day prepping for interviews, even though you're so sick of it, right? Same thing with PMP. You set the time out and you stick with it. So have self-discipline, say goodbye to your social friends, media. I actually delete and deactivate all my social media, by the way, because it's really tempting, and I know that, but it paid off, okay? And by the way, working for Amazon leaves you no time to be on social media anymore, so I haven't reactivated. Second thing, be resourceful. So what do I mean by be resourceful? Really, resources is all around you. Really ask. A lot of us, especially people from Southeast Asia, our culture, we don't ask. We just think that, if they're willing to help, they'll help us. Or it's rude to ask. Well, depending on how you ask. But I would say ask help, ask for advice, especially for wisdom and advice. Most people would be willing to mentor you if you show your determination and that you do your own homework. You come and ask. And I asked him about PMP preparation, and he was more than happy to share with me everything. So if I did not ask, how would he know to help me, right? And the last one is, I would say, use your weakness to your advantage. And what I mean is, a lot of us here have restriction on you, just like me before. You could not work outside, you don't have work experience, whatever your situation is. Maybe you have family, you don't have the education and the experience that you think would help. But always explore other opportunities. Like for me, I couldn't work outside, I could only work on campus. And I have some free time, so I dedicate that to volunteering, to get work experience from an actors, because that's something international students could do. And also, again, using the free time to get certification. A lot of people would say, well, it means nothing if you don't have work experience. Well, I semi-agree, because in the end, it's all about, have you done this before? What was the result of it, right? But if you have no work experience, nor certification or education, then it's just a lot harder for you to compete with anyone on the market right now. So if you cannot work for any reason, get certification, watch LinkedIn Learning, get all those skills in. Excel, SQL, anything you can use, because you never know what you're going to use. Because my role initially did not require advanced Excel. But when I got in, and I would transition to the role, they gave me a lot of projects with Excel on it. And these are like monster Excel file with like 50,000 rows and like a lot of columns and tabs. And I was excited. I'm like, this is something I like to do. And I told my boss, and I said, oh, can you like give me the account that I have like more of this, because I like doing this. And I kind of regret saying it now, because now it's very overwhelming. But I've learned so much. So another tip after is ask. Don't be afraid to speak up. Like, don't be afraid to tell your manager about what you like to do. I also told him that I like to be more involved in project management. Maybe not right away, because again, I'm brand new, only 3 months in. I need more experience to know more stakeholders in Amazon. But it's nice that your manager understand and acknowledge your need of career development. So yeah, again, don't be afraid to ask or voice your passion. Okay? Any other question? Thank you. Well, I guess thank you everyone for coming, and I hope there's pizza left.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can enjoy the pizza now.
Are you guys shy to ask more questions? I thought we finished if you're gonna be. And would you be okay with the students connecting with you on LinkedIn?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah,
By the way, so speaking of referral, you're right, Cole. Statistics show that you're more likely to get picked by a recruiter if you're being referred by internal employees. So what you can do is, but I'm not going to look for a job for you. And that's one mistake that a lot of students make, is connect with someone and be like, oh, can you like send me job posting? No, you do your own homework. I don't know what you're interested in, right? So you do your own homework, you go search, and you find job posting, and you don't apply, but you send it to me or an Amazon employee that you know, and we can refer you. And that way you get a link from internal referral, and you apply with the link that the system sent you, and it's going to say my name on it. So that way it will show that it's internally referred. But if you already apply, I cannot refer you anymore. Is that clear? Yeah.
How about the online exam you took?
I'm sorry?
The
Online?
exam? Yeah.
Like before interview.
Yeah. What about that? What the name of it? It was mostly just, I don't think there was like a name of it. It was just like, evaluation. They would just call it evaluation. Yeah, and it differ between jobs position. Clearly, if it's tech position, then you're going to be doing coding. But for non-tech, a lot of it is behavioral and prioritization question. Like you only have 7 hours a week, right? And they give you a schedule, a timetable of from 8 to 9, you have meeting with this. From 9 to so, you have this task. Now you only have 1 hour left in your schedule, but your boss gives you a 3 hours long task. What are you going to do? So those kind of things, I would say if you don't have work experience, either, again, try volunteer, work, ask to learn, or just do research, Google. Google is your friend.
So most of them is behavioral questions, right?
Yeah. There was no technical. There was no, well, because for this role, there was no technical question.
So I had different types of online exam from different companies.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more like a statistical and non-behavioral questions.
Yeah, it depends on the role. Depends on the role. And I know other positions, they would require you to give them sample writing. So they would give you like a week or something, and they would ask you to write 2 pages of like certain topic, and they're going to judge you based on how you perform your writing, because certain positions require more precise and professional writing, like legal. I have a friend who had to do that because she applied for legal department.
So remind me, how many times did you do interview? 5 times, you said?
5 rounds.
5.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Yes.
I'm curious what your courses at CityU that you felt were especially relevant to your role or any connection.
Courses in CityU, I would say, well, all my courses are PM courses because that's my program. And it's going to be hard for me to recall one particular course. But I feel like there was a few courses where it teach about diversity at work and teamwork, because I thought that was really important. Again, for position, entry-level position or semi-entry position, I feel like we learn a lot about how to communicate with C-level, but that doesn't apply to me. And so I would say teamwork tools such as Microsoft projects, those kind of things that I learned in class. I believe it was PM 504, Jim's class. Was it 504, Jim? Yeah. So I learned from CityU how to use those tools, and as well as Excel. I think I did that on my own as well. The PM book, which is part of the my program book, a lot of it helped when it comes to how to deal with stakeholders. Yeah. So I would say stakeholders, teamwork, and software tool like Microsoft project. Yeah. Oh, there you go.
This is the LinkedIn page, so if anybody are interested to connect, and should we stay for a little bit to chat if you have time?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys have any question.
Yeah, I think that we have.
Yes, Mom.
Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, but thank you for coming.